Hello, all of YouTube and people who follow my newsletter from Spellbinder00. This is the Unfiltered News from the Reality Zone, where political correctness is not spoken here. Compiled by G. Edward Griffin. Editors is Cassandra Anderson. Photo and humor scout is Joanne Glover. And proofreader is Tom Parker. This is the Unfiltered News. Headlines you may not have seen this week. Compiled between the 1st of February through the 7th, 2014. And this is the comic strip for this week. This is the Obama Constitution. Me the President. And he's a dictator, and you should know that by now. And, when he can pencil whip anything he wants and bypass Congress, he's not following the Constitution. Therefore, we don't have to follow him, because his policy is null and void. It's null and void, that you don't have to follow any of the laws coming out of the 60 square mile Washington District of Criminals. The states have all the power. If the states aren't taking their power, then we gotta take the states back. That's it. The 10th Amendment says the states have power over Washington District of Criminal. No matter what they say, the states have power over them. The capital is only there, District of Criminals, to go over disputes between states. That's all they have power to do. They can't dictate laws over states. I'm sorry, it's not in the Constitution. Read it if you don't believe me. Do your research. Hell, the states are king over the 60-mile area, square mile area called Washington District Criminals. They're only supposed to deal with foreign policy and whatnot, and then they can't go out there and say that the foreigners, run our government. No, that's not in the Constitution. That's treason if they do that. Anyways, let's start out with this week's first article. UK, the database for medical records in the government healthcare system, has a backdoor for government and police agencies. That means it is open to untold number of government employees, many of whom are susceptible to bribery, blackmail, and partisan rivalry. Don't you understand? Anyone who wants this information will be able to acquire it if they have contacts within the bureaucracy. Russia Today, February 7, 2014. Next, video. The Turkish government passed a law allowing them to shut down any internet site without having to justify the action and without court authorization. Al Zaire, February 6. Don't you see? This is in America already, in a way. They just haven't finalized it and made it public. But they can shut down their site if they think it's, just look at Google. They do this all the time. They allow trolls on their sites, but they won't allow people to talk the truth. And they won't go after you for that. Yes, I've seen Google Plus doing that with trolls. Trolls rule Google Plus, if you don't know it. Ukrainian. Shocking record of phone calls between the U.S. State Department official and a U.S. ambassador revealed that Washington is actively plotting the downfall of the current regime and manipulating any government movement, Ron Paul Institute says, February 6th. And it's true. They got links into Congress and the Senate, and they know this is happening. Video, U.S. John Pasca from the State Department in damage control mode blames the Russians for recording and publishing a phone conversation of the U.S. officials discussing how to overthrow the Ukrainian government. She calls it a new low in Russian tradecraft. This is ironic in the wake of recent exposures of the NSA's global spying and phone tapping program. Right today, February 7th. I connected video to that one. A Russian official accuses the U.S. of arming Ukrainian anti-government militants, mercenaries. Press TV, February 6th. And what's new with that? That's all it's attacking Syria is mercenaries. They're not real Syrians. They're mercenaries. Come on. Just do your research and you'll find out these are all mercenaries over in Syria. Again, video. The Republican Party is making websites that look like campaign sites for Democrats to solicit donations. They defend the practice by pointing out that Democrats also use sleazy tactics. It's great to have a choice. None. Not. CNN, February 6th. Okay, Florida, video. The Dozer School for Boys that was open from 1900 to 2011 is the site of a massive grave of 55 bodies already discovered. Florida prosecutors are showing little interest in this case and have yet to file any charges or launch any investigations, despite the fact that over 500 former students have reported brutal treatment that included beatings, rape, and murder. Alzarera, February 6th. Does this sound similar to what happened in the Catholic Church up in Canada and Montreal? Or when Montreal was British Columbia, where they took the Indians, the natives up there, and they just brutalized them, and they're finding mass graves up in that area. Mass graves. I'm telling you, these are evil people who get off on sadistic and archon ways of torturing the human race. Anyways, Iceland is planning to introduce the Aurora coin, a cryptocurrency similar to Bitcoin, in that it will be limited in quantity and exchanged digitally. It was developed in response to the public dissatisfaction with the present currency, the krona. The krona has lost 99.5% of its value against the US dollar as a result of wild money printing, while the dollar lost 95% of its value relative to gold for the same reason. Initially, a small quantity of Aurora coins will be issued to every citizen to encourage them to use it. After that, the quantity can be increased only through mining, which means spending time on a computer to locate and increasingly fewer numeric combinations that will allow the creation of another Aurora coin. The ideal has promise, but the fact is, to be launched and operated by the government is not so promising. We shall see. We will keep an eye on that. Aurora Coin Organization, February 5th. Okay, after an 11-year calm for solar storms, flares twice the size of Earth are blasting into space every 2 hours. These are not aimed at the Earth, but astronomers say it could change. The sun is slowly rotating and the activity area is gradually moving in our direction. The intensity of eruptions is not unusual at the present, but a Class X storm are anticipated. Inquester, February 4th. Yes, if we get a direct hit from one of these flares, these CMEs, it will wipe out the grid, the power grid worldwide, and 270 reactors will go critical, because it's going to blow out their systems. It's going to make their circuits not work. They're not going to be able to do it unless they have the fail-safe system, which Japan didn't have. They believed in this hydraulic system of raising rods up into the tank to cool the reaction down, instead of having a rope holding the rods as a secondary emergency attempt to shut the reactors down. In other words, if any reactors that have a hydraulic system that raises the calming rods, as I call them, the ones that shut the reaction down, they will fail, just like in Fukushima with the 3 reactors. That's why we have a meltdown there, because they built these reactors using a hydraulic system from below to raise the control rods into the reactor. Now, the older reactors actually had a rope going over the tanks, and if something critical happened, power failure completely, system failure, they could go in there and cut this rope and drop those control rods right down into the tank and stop the reaction. No, they didn't do that in Fukushima. That was the new design. So any of the new reactors are using this stupid hydraulic system. It requires electricity and power to raise them up. Is going to go critical. That's what happened there. If they had the old system where they had the rope so they could go in there and just cut the rope, drop the control rods down into the tanks, we wouldn't have had Fukushima today. That's simple, precise, and on target. I don't know if you knew that. Do your research, you'll find that out. The older reactors actually had a fail-safe system, and that was the fail-safe system, to drop the rods directly down, the control rods, into the tank, neutralize the reaction, and start cooling down. That's just, I'm just saying. Oh well, they didn't want you to know this. A Florida court upheld a city of Orlando's confiscation of privately owned private property to turn it into a soccer stadium. The stadium will be allowed by commercial soccer clubs. Also intend to take adjacent land occupied by a church to enhance the facility. Eminent domain is used by local government in partnership with politically influential businesses to steal private property. Sounds like the 10 planks to me. Under the guise of serving the public purpose. That's right, that soccer field serves the public purpose, not the people that live there. Ooh, makes you mad, doesn't it? Biz Journals, February 5th. Video, Los Angeles. 8 police officers fired over 100 times into a truck, injuring 2 women in a case of mistaken identity. They violated police policy by using deadly force in this situation. The officers will return to the field after they get additional training. None were discharged or penalized. CBS News, February 4th. That was during that case where that one guy went rogue and they ended up burning him up in a cabin. And this is just wrong. These guys should have been prosecuted for attempted murder, because I don't care if they misidentified. That means they were ignorant, stupid, on SSRIs, or some dumb, I don't want to say it, dumb F, let's put it that way, calls. And let's go on. Video. A report from the European Commission says that corruption is common in every state within the EU. Corruption encompasses public procurement processes, political party financing, bribes, the government healthcare system in which individuals pay money under the table for proper care. BBC, February 3rd. See? None of this socialized medicine works. The old method was you had the church, you're a member of the church, you go into health and everything, the church money would help pay your health care. I mean, there was, and also the medical association under the oath of medicine was able to treat you without charging you, because that was part of their charity. The hospitals have a charity clause. They still do, but it's getting more and more invisible. APAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee, the congressional lobby that promotes the national interest of Israel has suffered a loss of influence in Washington. It has lost support for its proposal to punish and provoke Iran with more sanctions, and the Israeli government is becoming globally alienated due to its aggression against Palestinians. The Nation, February 3rd. Well, of course, you got Netanyahu out there, who is the boy who cried wolf so many years about Iran, who hasn't had an outside war of their country. They had an inside war when Iraq came in because of American influence and attacked them. They haven't had an outside war in 200 years. Now think about that. These people are not about to go outside their country. They just want to be left the fuck alone. Excuse my language, but that is the truth. And you're not paying attention if you don't see this. If you go into Tehran and Iran, it looks like New York City. You would think you're in New York City. They have Christians living in that country. They have, Islam and Muslims all living together in a happy surrounding. And I don't agree with their government totally, but yet they are not aggressive. I think they're, still like all the other Middle East countries. They hate each other, and that's the truth. Anyways, next video. The Iraqi government says it discovered a chemical weapon lab that is owned by a rebel anti-Assad group operating in Syria. A defense consulate says that the Saudi Arabian Wahhabi-sponsored terrorists are carrying out chemical attacks as false flag operations to put the blame on the Assad government. Don't you know? Of course. The Assad government is being demonized by the Israeli government. Who do you see doing the aggression against who? Russia Today, February 3rd. Next. Privacy advocates are suing the Los Angeles Police Department and Sheriff's Department because they refuse to disclose how they use data from license plate readers that trick drivers at random. They argue that since only 1,000 of 1% of motorists scanned have ever been linked to a crime, scanners are a poor law enforcement tool and their use is suspicious. Money making. Think money junkies. And you'll get the proper perspective. Newspaper, February 3rd. Alright, video, U.S. A new report from the Congressional Budget Office says that Obamacare will cost 2.3 million jobs over the next 10 years. Really? After we have like 60 million jobs lost? Really? Fox, February 4th. Really? We're at 30% unemployment. They're not telling you the truth on the mainstream media. They're lying to you. They're paid to lie to you. They're allowed to lie to you. See the case in 1999 of two reporters trying to report on the bovine growth hormone, and they try to come out saying how it will cause cancer and everything else if you eat the meat of these cattle and drink the milk. And they were fired, they sued, and the court made the decision that news agencies are allowed to lie to you. Remember that. Just do your research. You'll find this all out. I'm just repeating something I repeated many times before because that is where it started. Video. World Health Organization is warning that a tidal wave of cancer will sweep the globe, raising 70% over the next 20 years. Really? Really? I mean, Fukushima's not enough? They say that cancer rate could be halved by a lifestyle change, including avoiding obesity, smoking, and limiting alcohol consumption. Fukushima has no thing in there. The nuclear plant in New Mexico has no... Oh, God. The one in California that's leaking this tritium into the water supply has no factor. Up in Washington, the plant up there has no factor. You guys are really... Unfortunately, they barely mention the primary risk factor, which is inadequate diet. To find out what is missing from the modern diet, see World Without Cancer by G. Edward Griffin, BBC, February 3rd. And he's right about that too. It's our diet also. If you're not taking vitamins, you're not taking these certain things, eating garlic, raw even, I mean, that will get rid of a lot of elements in you, just eating raw garlic. You may smell bad, and may have a bad breath, but I'm telling you, garlic is one of the cures of cancer. And also doing body flushes every so often. Flushing your body of toxins like uranium and plutonium and stuff that you can actually under what is it called, bitamite. The chemical, I got a bottle of it, I haven't used yet. Hemp oil, other there's all types of treatment out there that you can do, and it doesn't require $10,000 from the pharmaceutical companies to treat, as well as radiation, which is insane, and chemical poisons, which is another insanity. These guys are quacks in the pharmaceutical. I mean, only if your body is strong enough to put up with their chemicals and radiation that you get over cancer. But if it's not, you die. And the statistics show you die more often than you live from these treatments from the pharmaceuticals and the doctors. You know, white coats and stethoscopes. Why believe them when you can do your own research and be your own doctor? Why? I mean, doctors treat themselves. Don't let them fool you that it's a fool's thing that to treat yourself as being your own doctor. That's the truth. Doctors treat themselves more often. And if you do statistics, doctors die earlier than most people. They die in their 50s and 60s. I mean, come on, do the research. Just don't be stupid here. These guys are quacks to me. That's why I don't see doctors. I treat myself because I'm smarter than they are. Okay. They only learn from the pharmaceutical books published by the pharmaceutical companies when they go through medical school. So you're looking at people being taught to push the pharmaceutical drugs, and they're just pushers in nice clothes, white coats and stethoscopes in an office, and not the guy on the corner pushing heroin. I mean, anyways, let's go on here. It's official. J.P. Morgan has cornered the gold derivatives market in the U.S. To corner a market means to control a significant percentage of the total, to be the biggest player in the field, and thereby be able to determine the price and policies. JPM owns 60% of U.S. gold derivatives, valued at $65.4 billion. However, those contracts are backed only by $1 billion in physical gold. The rest of it's paper. Don't you understand? If people have paper, go in there and try to get their gold, you put them out of business today and demand your gold. That means the banks would be wiped out if gold speculators decided they want real gold instead of paper contracts for gold. If or when that happens, the physical market, gold market, will skyrocket, and governments likely will come to an aid of the banks by halting trading to protect the world economy, of course. What would happen then is anyone's guess. These are interesting times. Zero Hedge, February 1st. And it's true, the silver is the same way. They got more paper silver out there than they have physical silver out there. J.P. Morgan, I mean, even Calente and others say if you just go up there and demand, just go out and buy an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver, you'll put them out of business overnight. These J.P. Morgan would go down in a flaming burst of light. Be like watching a bovine meteor or a fireball. Okay, a new study shows that Monsanto has not been testing the safety of all its ingredients of its Roundup weed killer, which is a deadly poison to us. You've seen what it does to frogs. 3 arms in a frog, 4 eyes, 2 heads. That's what Roundup does. That's what it does. It justifies this by classifying the untested ingredients as inert. And when you see inert on any pesticide or control thing and it says inert, that is the deadliness of that product. Okay. That means they do not act on the weeds directly, but indirectly, boost the killing power of other ingredients that are called active. This allows toxic chemicals to remain untested for toxicity and allows the tested chemicals to become more toxic than the form in which they are tested. Nice trick there, Monsanto. Nice trick. John Rappaport, February 2nd. And I'm telling you, we should ban Monsanto, period. It's a poison company. It's playing God with genes. Do you not understand yet? They're creating something nature would never create. If it was supposed to happen, nature would have made it happen. As far as chemical reactions and stuff. I mean, yeah, we had people back in the days that did genetic manipulations between same species, not putting a roach in a tomato. I mean, roach genes in a tomato. I mean, that's Frankenstein. That's why I call it Frankenstein type foods. I mean, that's the reason. Video. U.S. The latest farming bill has replaced direct payments to farmers with paying for their crop insurance that guarantee a profitable price for their produce, particularly for large corporate farms, which have the most political clout. Not the mom and pops, the corporate farms. In other words, you're buying your food from the company mart. Nothing has changed except that insurance companies now are getting a slice of the taxpayer plunder. Don't you see? Or are you paying attention? CNN, February 1st. I mean, some of these mainstream medias have to report this stuff just to stay on the air. All the rest of it is fluff that they put out there to try to convince you. But this stuff is real because you can find hundreds of articles written by alternative media and a week or two ago, and then CNN has to come out and say, yeah, this is happening, just to save face. Fox does this, MSNBC does this, they all do this. I go up and I talk to my parents when I visit them, and they're watching Fox News and everything. I say, I saw that 2 weeks ago on the alternative news. You're just now getting this? It's only because they're saving face. It's nothing more, nothing less. Okay, we're going to make sure I'm at. Virginia proposed Food Freedom Act would eliminate all regulations on small farm and homemade foods that are sold by producer to consumer in face-to-face transaction. Food Riot Radio, February 1st. That sounds interesting. In other words, you can grow your own food in that state of Virginia, if that's passed or is passed. Washington state lawmakers are considering taxing drivers by the mile to maintain roads. The mileage could be determined by an odometer reading or an electronic tracking device. If the state charges 1.5 cents per mile, it could collect $3 billion. California, Colorado, Minnesota, and Nevada are considering a similar tax. Prison Planet, February 1st. This is just wrong. You're basically driving a taxi car. You're the driver of the taxi car and whoever else is with you, and you're paying this out of your pocket. You're the taxi driver and the passenger at the same time. Come on, people. Wake up. Don't allow them to do that. That's just wrong. To have your car turned into a taxi is just wrong. Makes you mad. I'm not ranting this week. I'm just grunting and spatting, and that's it. Video, Syria. The British independent newspaper has reported that foreign-backed militias of the Al-Nusra Front committed unspeakable atrocities against civilians. This is old news to our readers, but the fact that the truth finally is being reported by Western news service is big news. Europeans and Americans tend to disbelieve anything that conflicts with the official line of their governments. Press TV, February 1st, and that's true. You only believe whatever you're told on that talking box up there called TV. And you're only listening to it when it tells you. You're not going out and doing your own research. You're lazy. You're sheeple. And that's why we're being conquered. Don't you see yet? Not paying attention. A study from the Cornell University shows how fracking is harmful to animals. The report links early death, reduced reproduction, and birth defects in farm animals to fracking wastewater spills. The government study also has shown that entire populations of aquatic animals can be wiped out by spills of fracking fluid. EcoWatch posted February 1st. Don't you know yet? Don't you see what's going on? Don't you understand? God, this is so obvious. And this is only one story, probably out of 100 or so. It's been written out there about this. And here's an amazing carving that extends over an entire tree trunk. They took an entire tree trunk and carved all this stuff into it. Amazing. It's a tree trunk that fell over and everything of that nature. It's 6 o'clock. No, it's actually 5 o'clock here, but I got the cuckoo going off. I started this at the wrong time. I tried to do this in between the cuckoo clock. And it's in the background. You're going to hear it for how many cuckoos this electronic Chinese piece of crap is. And, well, I mean, there it is. It stopped. It's got batteries in it, and the thing ticks back and forth with the batteries in it. But that's just digressing. Here we go. Video. G. Edward Griffin explains how the strategy of reality versus credibility is used to implement the UN's Agenda 21. He explains why a limited food supply is an illusion, why the freedom of choice is a better solution to most problems than cohesion, and why the objective of Agenda 21 is to destroy property rights. The 10 planks of communism. Read them. We Are Change, Connecticut. Posted February 7th. Just read the 10 planks. That's part of it. Agenda 21 is number uno in the Communist Manifesto. Just look that up under Google. Communist Manifesto. Marx. And you'll find out what we're under. Star. This is something to keep. And for further reference and research. Santa Claus, Easter bunnies, and catastrophic global warming. This is a concise summary of the absurdities of global warming theory. It will be very handy in your next encounter with a global warmer believer. Freedom Outpost, February 6th. And it will be. These people are delusional. These scientists took everything in account except for the sun. The big ball of nuclear power up there in the sky. That gives us all of the life on this planet. It's cool right now. And even in the middle of all this supposedly Cycle 24, it's cooler than anything in history. It's giving off a bunch of flares right now. That is not heating us up. We're still cold. Every planet is cooled down. Every planet in the last cycle warmed up. And that gave these people, the carbon Nazis, the carbon taxers, the power to take your money from your pocket and put it in theirs and make a profit off of you believing in the fantasy of global warming. Carbon dioxide is a symbiotic relationship between plants and animals. The more we got carbon dioxide, the more we got plants. The more we got plants, the more oxygen it's created. We can get back up there during the dinosaur days of 35% oxygen when everything was lush because of CO2. And these guys want you to believe the opposite, and that's just how it is. I mean, you're not paying attention. Again, Oh man, you gotta wake up. You gotta read. You gotta do your research. I've done it. I've been studying for 25 years just current affairs. And I could teach current affairs, actually. I've done that much research. I could be a teacher in the school and teach current affairs, saying, look, this is what's going on today. This is the reality of it in current affairs. And, oh, God. I hated current affairs when I was in high school, but now I love it. And I love history. And I hated history also because the way they taught it in school was so boring and put me to sleep. I mean, I actually falling asleep in class. Now I'm just all excited and delighted when I read something new in current affairs under the alternative media or other medias besides the MSM on TV. The mainstream media will never tell you what you need to know, only what they want you to know. Remember that. Okay, here we go. Video. Judge Jim Gray began campaigning against the failed war on drugs in 1992. In this video, he explains how drug prohibition damages society and the economy. He named 6 groups that benefit from so-called war on drugs, and chances are that you are not in any of them. Reason. Posted February 5th. Of course. It started in 1930s. 1932, I think. It was the Dow Chemical Company that started up, and the Hearst Publishing Company. Hearst owned, this guy's a billionaire, right? He owned all these forests, and there was a new process to turn paper out of wood, trees and stuff, and it was an expensive process, but he had to get that pushed over hemp because hemp was cheap. You can grow a crop of hemp every year and make stuff out of it. 5,000 things. Trees take a decade or more to grow and become something that they can use. Now, just think about that, and you'll understand why hemp should be legalized. It just amazes me. Video. James Corbett explains how movements are co-opted into the left-right paradigm and how this is the old age strategy of divide and conquer, and that's under Boiling Frogs Report, February 1st, and you'll find out. See, this goes from today back to the 1st of this month, so I'm giving you news in regression, headlines you may have missed. Okay, that's the end of the news for this week. Check out Dr. Fred's Healthcare Rescue, the real solution to healthcare. You'll find out that Obamacare, no. Medical freedom, yes. And you'll find out that we've been hoodwinked, another scam. Here's a great photos of the week. The eagle was saved and raised by this man. And this eagle just loves him just like a cat. I mean, look at that. It's just, and it's lovely. Then you got the humor for this week. You got this guy, Why Men Die First. I've seen another one. This guy's got a surfboard, and he's out there. That's dangerous, dude. And I've seen one where the guy had it over a stairway. He has his ladder just tilted over a stairway, and it was in this angle, like a 45-degree angle, and he's up there painting, and it just looks like one wrong move, and he's dead. And this guy has the same idea there. One wrong move, he falls all the way down there, and that's a long ways down. Oh my golly. I've seen many of these pictures. Alright, solar storms are no threat if man repents his sins. Really? 5 angels in one. I mean, really, you gotta check all this out. This stuff is just beyond believable, and it's true. And that's the whole thing. You wouldn't believe it unless you read it, and it's true. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, and it just doesn't happen. I need more data about solar storms. Now you gotta read all that about solar storms. And one big solar storm, 270 reactors go critical and become Fukushima. Do you want that? It's the end of life on planet Earth, as they call it. Yes, and it's all over with. Yeah. Reality Zone Classifieds. There it is. This is the news that you may have missed, the headlines. And I'll have a link to this this newsletter at the bottom of where it says show more. It'll be in there. I give the description and everything of this page. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend. It's like really cold here. It's 20 degrees right now, and that's still cold for this time of year. It should be about 28 or something on that nature, near freezing. And it's just real cold, and we need to wake up to what's going on around us. If you don't wake up and do your own research, you're going to find out what's wrong too late, and it's all going to be over with. Until next time, be good or be good at it, and have a wonderful weekend. Good day.